So today, guys, you join me as I start a Build a Nation save with Scotland and, of course, Hearts. But I didn't just start. I am in season two. So let's go back through season one, where I finished in third place, 23 wins, scored 101 goals, scored more than Celtic, just conceded a lot more. It was a good performance. We had a really bad start to the last season. Um, this is not going to show me the stats apparently. It'll be this season, which is pretty weird. But anyway, I'll show you the transfers that I did that season. I signed Khalid Sabanovic as a right back on loan, and then Hib signed him on a permanent, so I guess it kind of comes into play. And then Keshi Anderson was in on loan last season. He scored a lot of goals. He scored 25 goals in 49 games, which is pretty good. We're very happy with him on his loan spell. Just too old for me to commit to a full deal. Sold Barry Mackay because he was running a contract. Competitions wise, I was in the Europa League. We'll just go to my schedule. I feel like that'll be easier. I went through qualifiers in the Europa League, won against AZ 7-1 in the playoffs, and then 8-2 on aggregate, where I got placed in a group with Salzburg, Hoffenheim, and PSV, and I went and won all my first three games against them, and then lost my last three. So with that, I finished in second place. Gonna have to go to last season again. Yeah, finished in second place in the group. Went 3 wins, 3 losses, 9 points. That's fine. Went into the knockout playoff round. Came up against Bayer Leverkusen and lost 5-1 on aggregate, so not too good. You can see Celtic were there. They had Champions League football last season, but of course it was still group stages. So they lost, drew, lost, drew, lost, won, which put them in third place in their group, and they went to the Europa League where they lost 4-1 on aggregate to Lyon. And then Rangers were in the Europa League groups. Just got to try and get to Rangers, the top of the league. Rangers were in Europa League last season. They finished third in their group. They had a rough time, and they went into Europa League or Europa Conference League, where they were knocked out by Apoel. So not that good of a run for us in European competitions, and that saw us get knocked down to 11th place. We were ninth, and now this season it's even worse. We've been taken over by three more teams to put us down into 14th position, which is not good because we're gonna just drop off the face of the planet. Because we did have two teams getting one in automatic Champions League, one in Champions League qualifiers, and then we have two in Champions League qualifiers, one in Europa League playoffs, and then one in the Conference League, which is just the same to be fair. If you move down to 14th, so we kind of just have the same, just an extra playoff game. That's all right. Let's move on to this season, where we've played against. Wait, this is Rangers. Rangers have played against Antwerp, beat them in the Champions League playoffs or the qualifying rounds 5-2. Then they lost to Galatasaray to send them into the Europa League, where they play Hoffenheim, Villarreal, Sporting, FC Rapid, PSV, Benfica, and Malmo, and Antwerp again, who they beat earlier on. If I go here, we can see what we've got. Celtic are, of course, in the Champions League because they get the automatic spot that they still have. They've got Atletico Madrid, Nice, AC Milan, Leipzig, Young Boys, Newcastle, Napoli, and Barcelona. So they're probably not going to do too well. Aberdeen did manage to qualify. They lost to Ghent 4-3 on aggregate in the Europa League qualifiers, and then beat Borac in the Conference League qualifiers before beating Vorskla in the next round. And now they have a team from Luxembourg Austria Vienna, Lask, Bodo Glimt, Zalgiris, Getafe in their Conference League groups. So we have 4 teams, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we've got 4 teams in Europe right now because if I go show you my schedule, we took on Dynamo Kiev where we won 7-1 and then lost 4-0 in the return leg. So you know, we're through. Where we play Genk, Ludogorets, Shakhtar, French Varos, Stuttgart and Slovan Bratislava, and then Benfica and Olympiacos in January. So that's pretty decent, I think. Those are decent fixtures. We did have another team go into qualifiers before they lost to Braga after they beat Fortuna Sittard. So we've got 4 teams in Europe, which is alright, but it doesn't seem to reflect um, our coefficients. Transfer wise, for this season, I signed this guy, Nelson Insfran, for a goalkeeper. He's kept 3 clean sheets in the league, so that's pretty decent. Jens Hertel Dahl assigned for just £2 million. He has a £12 million release clause, so we'll get 10 million profit. Lukas Vorlichki was for 500k, and I think he's a good winger, although he's not really showing it. Renzo Mikado was another young player who has a 10 million release clause. Oh, no, I took it out, sorry. He was asking for 10 million, I told him nope. And he signed for us for 1.4 million, so hopefully we get a lot of profit for him. This season, we signed Liam Morrison to play centre back. I thought he would be better than what he is. It's a shame. Kevin Viveros for 105k, sorry. And he's been very good in the Europa League, not in the Premiership so far, but I did like the look of his inside forward stats. And then Luca Vignali to play at right back, who has been very good in both competitions we play in. So I'm going to get to the end of the season and I'll update you on what's happened to all the teams in European competitions and in the league. Hopefully we can do well enough to qualify for another European competition to drag Scotland on. Alright, see you then. Some signings occurred in January. We signed Ali Williamson from Motherwell for just 325k. He's got 5-star potential. He's a young Scottish attacking midfielder. And he's already got a value looking at £8 million. This is a great little acquisition here. And I've played him in quite a couple games. He played 8 games in the league. He scored 2 goals, 2 assists, and dropped a 7.09 rating in the league. So perhaps he is going to be a big player for us in the future. And then Stuart Oru was also signed, another young Scottish player. He played a little less games. He's a DM. We signed him from Wraith Rovers for just £1.1 million, which I say just, it's quite more pricey than the last one. But his mentals are really good for the role. He's got good marking. He's ready. So next season maybe he could come in and fill that DM role in. But those were the 2 signings and very happy with those. In the league, we managed to finish in second, which means we secure a Champions League spot. With Rangers going into Europa League, maybe that means we get more coefficients, as I can secure Champions League, but they can't, kind of thing. So maybe that'll be better for us. Of course, we did go down in the coefficients last year, so I'm pretty sure Celtic will have to go through qualifiers. Speaking of coefficients, let's take a look at our Europa League run. Of course, we played Genk and we won 2-1, and then we drew to Ludogorets 0-0, beat Shakhtar 1-0, and then drew with Ferencváros 1-1. Not the greatest of first 4 games. But then we beat Stuttgart away 5-1 and then won our next game against Slovan Bratislava 5-1 again. And then we beat Benfica 3-1 and then beat Olympiacos 4-0, which sat us sitting 7th in the Europa League. We then had to play Feyenoord, where they beat us 4-1, which, if we look at the stats, we just had 1 shot on target, which is not good enough. More shots on target, we score way more. They were just more clinical with 6 on target from their 9, and they beat us 4-1 on the first leg, and then we won 2-0 at home. It was not enough. Not enough at all. We scored first minute, I was thinking there's hope. And then it was until the 87th minute where we got our next goal, so we were knocked out in the round of 16 of the Europa League. We will go on to Celtic, who were playing in the Champions League, and they only managed 2 wins. They beat Young Boys and Nice, and then lost 6 other games. To be fair, their 6 games that they lost were unwinnable, I'm pretty sure. Those are very tough games. Maybe a draw, 2 draws would have helped them into this playoffs, which would have given us more coefficients, but that's fine. We will move on to Rangers, and they had a great start to their Europa League campaign. They beat Hoffenheim 4-0, then beat Villarreal 2-1, Sporting 2-1, Rapid 4-1, and then PSV was a draw 0-0. That is some pretty good teams that they came up against from big countries. They even beat Benfica 6-0, Malmo 5-0, and then lost to Antwerp 1-0, which sat them sitting in third, which was very impressive. They then were drawn up against Sporting, who they beat in the groups 2-1 at home, but could not manage to do the same in the round of 16, as they lost 3-1 and then drew 0-0 at home, so they're knocked out as well. Of course, Aberdeen were the other team that made it into European competition, where they won against Swift Hesperange, beat Austria Vienna, or drew to Austria Vienna, lost to Lask, beat Bodo Glimt, beat Zalgiris, lost to Hetafe. And that sat them down in 16th in the Conference League, where they went on to play in the knockout playoff, where they got knocked out on penalties after 2 draws to St Gallen, which does not help the coefficients because Switzerland are the team that are hurting us. And of course, Hibs did not make it into competition after losing to Braga. So with this season, Kilmarnock come in. Aberdeen do not make it into European competition, as Kilmarnock and Hibs take on the Conference League spots. Rangers get the Europa League, and us and Celtic take on the Champions League spots. So, coefficients wise, this year we were sitting in 11th, looking very nice. But now we have dropped. We've been overtaken by Austria and Denmark, so just 2 places we've lost out on. So that's not good. We need to get rid of these 2019-20, 2021 coefficients. And then 22-23 was not a good year for us. We're really building coefficients up in these next few years. But these first ones were not good for the country. So what that means for us is we drop into 13th, I'm pretty sure. Overtaken by 12th and 13th, we will drop into 13th. It doesn't change anything for us. Would have been nice to get that 10th place slot with a guaranteed league phase again. But oh, it does change something. Our Europa League team has to go through 2 qualifiers, and we don't get a place through our cup trophy, but we get 2 teams in the Conference League. Alright. Okay. Well, it's going to be a lot of qualifiers, and we're going to have to hope our team does well. We have quite a bit of money, 16 million. Kind of because Lawrence Shankland, I managed to get £14 million for Lawrence Shankland. I don't think I've ever managed to get any money for him on Football Manager, let alone 14 million. He got a Premier League move to Middlesbrough, who finished bottom of the table. But he managed to get 7 goals in that season, so I think he did his job. He did his job, but we have £16 million to spend. No transfers coming in. Shortlist looking decent. I've not actually had a look at players that will get first team football. These are just youngsters. If we take a look at players that could join us, we got, well, this was from last season, so I can remove them. Like Wesley Sully, he's got good potential. Raphael Hain, good potential. Ben Miller, Andy Miller, Scott Porteous, Jack Martin. You know, these are just potential players. Um, I will mostly look for frees, I think, or just players that fit the role. We'll build a team of who I think could stay. I think we need a new goalkeeper, a new right back, centre backs. I think James Penrice is fine. Jens Hertel. Our DMs are well covered, so we'll just put one in there. I think I want a backup right winger. Viveros is good. I want a backup cam and a backup left winger. So just backups across the front three and then another backup striker. So we're looking for backups in our attack, but we need starters in our defence. Big time. If we want to get going in this Champions League season. But yeah, I think next season, if we can get two teams in the Champions League proper, we will start moving up the coefficients just fine. So yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. This is the first episode. The next episodes will be way more structured because I didn't film the first season, obviously. It'll be longer, more in depth, and it'll be better. So just look out for the next episodes. I'm just filming these whenever I can at the moment. So see you then.